consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Now, if you just tuned in, we are having an amazing conversation. We're discussing the electorate and we're asking, can we as the electorate look beyond presidency ahead of this 2023 elections? And we have with us Daily Farotimi. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa 1 with the hashtag Wayshow. Uti, you had a question?
Yeah, so no, I even wanted to take this comment because it was sort of in line with what Dele just said. It says, great ladies at Ways. The narrative is going to change in the next elections. A lot of people are going to vote for individuals, not parties. Politics is beyond social media discourse. It's a game on a real table with realignment, reconciliation, and re-strategizing for a better society. And he also says, nice dress all of you got tonight. Evidently, it's Salah celebrations. Why I wanted to read that, because what I took away from what Dele just said was the fact that it's no longer about business as usual. You said, I just go and I thumbprint all the way down. Now we've got to shine the spotlight on the individual. So it's like building a fantasy football team. You pick one person that you like from Manchester, one person from Chelsea, and you build a team. So what we're saying now is that the group of people that we're looking at are people that, it doesn't matter what party you are. If we are educated enough to understand what you bring to the table, that's what we need to be choosing, and that's how we need to be viewing the elections. So for me, if that is my roadmap now, how many parties do I then scan? How many people do I scan? I'm looking for cheat sheets. So my question is, how can you help me simplify this process and understand? Because if we truly, a lot of people are well-meaning, but let's be honest, it's overwhelming. No matter even when you have good intentions and you want to look for information, I don't know if there's anything that our guests can give us that just says, here's where you should start, here's how you should even begin this journey. Because a lot of people truly want change, but they just don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
Uti, I'll say this to you here and now, and you can take it to the bank. The first, the second, the third, and most important of all of the things you need to be looking out for in whoever you are voting for any office, including dog catcher in the coming election, restructuring. Nigeria must be restructured. It's not just about the president. When the president, assuming we do find a candidate who pushes the gospel of restructuring, pushes it, it must be echoed by members of his party running for the House of Reps, running for the Senate, running for the state houses of assembly, running to become governors, because that is the single most important thing in the Nigerian agenda. It is even the only way that we might, not that word, might survive the impending disintegration of this construct of lives. Without restructuring being clearly placed on the table, don't just ignore the person. The person just wants to be the next person at the feeding trough. Nigeria has been emasculated by a constitution that is essentially a coup against the people. That coup against the people has sustained a lie for 23 years and counting, or almost 23 years now. But it can't sustain it for much longer. So if somebody is talking to you, not just the presidential candidate of the party, don't let somebody come and start lying to you like they lied in 2015 when they were talking restructuring, like they lied when they put together the El Rufai committee just before the 2019 election. It must be an article of faith. Our people must understand that the foundation of the entirety of the Nigerian mess we are in today is that constitution. Change anything you like. If you don't touch that constitution, Nigeria will be worse off this time next year and the year after that one. But one more thing, just to drive this home so that we all understand it clearly. The Nigerian ruling class as a whole, barring few exceptions, have no problem with the 1999 Constitution. They are very, very happy with it. So anybody who is telling you he wants to change it after the election, but he can't talk about it now, is lying. He simply wants to get to that office to be the one to manage the system of stealing.
Yeah, because I was going to...
problem with Nigeria... Yeah,
sorry, because I was going to say to you that this current structure that we are having, right, it's beneficial, right? The center is so powerful. It is beneficial to all politicians put together across all parties, right? So who will now say, is it, you know how we say it now, so now my turn, me no go can't get opportunity to take its money. Do you get? So who do you think would really have that willpower? Even if they say it and they echo it, what is the guarantee that when they eventually get into power, they would actually bring it to effect?
Let me tell you this. I just concluded a series of talk, a 4-part series, and I titled it, Your PVC or Your Gun. You know, my people have this proverb. They say, where the old man lie down, sleep, what he sees there, the youth that is perched on top of the Iroko tree will not see it. Nigeria is at an inflection point. If it fails to find a path to restructuring peacefully, it will end up in a war that it has not planned for. Some people are planning for it. A lot of us are blissfully unaware of the consequences of some of these things that are happening. But I'm saying it full chest. Being able to put together the different parts that I'm observing on a daily basis and that I've been observing for the better part of my life, that the current system has run its cycle. It is not sustainable. If it does not disintegrate Nigeria in their quest for 2023 power, it would have rendered it so completely ungovernable that if you do not give the people fresh hope to drive the impetus to try and see if we can salvage this country, it will dissolve into violence and anarchy. Our strengths have been constrained by a constitution that we have no say about. Some people have already lost their capacity to reason with this system. Look, anyone who is truly desirous of changing Nigeria but is afraid to place a restructuring plan on the ballot, because without it being on the ballot, nobody can touch that evil document called Decree 24. But if somebody is brave enough to place an alternative plan on the ballot and the party can adopt it, it energizes the people, douses the tension, particularly in the southeast, in the entire southern part of Nigeria, where people feel as though they are not even citizens but slaves within their own country. Let's not fool ourselves. With that, I've said a lot of things that most of you sometimes think are outlandish. But I challenge anyone to point at a single one of those things that I've said that have proven to be false. I am saying it without equivocation. If Nigeria does not find a way to peacefully, using the electoral process, place restructuring on the ballot with a clear plan, we'll end up in that war. Worst case scenario by 2024. Worst case. We're already there. All you need to do, put a map of Nigeria on your wall and then look at the part of Nigeria where you can travel 50 kilometers outside any city limit in any part of Nigeria. And then you tell me if we are not already at war. What we need to be doing is envisioning a better future that we can sell to the populace so that they might pull back from the brink of the abyss to which most of them have been pushed. If we are not at war, why are people crossing the Sahara? Why are they dying crossing the Mediterranean?
Absolutely.
Because we are not Ukraine, they are not calling it war. Because we are not Ukraine. We are already at war. People are escaping. They are not migrating again.
They're escaping. So Dele, you mentioned one. You said restructuring. You were supposed to give us 3 points. Do you want to quickly touch on that before we take some more comments?
Oh, those is restructuring.
Okay, so that's 1 to 3.
That is the anchor.
Okay, awesome.
It's not just 3, to infinity.
To infinity.
Every other thing flows from there. Every other thing flows from there. Every other thing. Without that, Nigeria is already dead. If you don't restructure, it will die. It's that simple. I might sound like a prophet of doom to some, but use the evidences that are gathered by your eyes and your ears. Look around you. I just told you. I know that sounds funny to you, but I dare anyone drive 50 kilometers outside your city limits. And if you're a policeman, wear your uniform and move around in the southeast. And then tell me we are not at war. We are lying to ourselves on several levels. And the only thing that will bring us out of this self-imposed state of war, free the people for heaven's sake. Let Nigerians become citizens in their own country. Is it too much for our politicians to understand that you cannot continue telling a person is a citizen of the world and then you make him a slave in his own country? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, so let me take some comments. Please always put your names when you bring this comment. A leader is a person who thinks about the future, not today. A leader is in Nigeria saw the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Eco-Atlantic 10 years ago. Today, the largest investment in that area is happening. For the first time in this country, we are moving in the right direction. The 1999 Constitution is the 1979 Constitution as amended. I believe Awolowo contested under the same Constitution in 1979 and 1983. Always put your name, because if you don't put your name, we don't know who you are. Uti, you have some comments.
Okay, so I have a follow-up comment from Bobby Kennedy in Jalingo. He says, politics for me is a medium for people to get emancipation and be emancipated from the clutches of oppression and imperialism. They don't know we know more than they think. Most of us are guilty of not voting from the councillor up to the president if we really want to get it right in Nigeria. And the second comment is from Daniel Illo. He says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. Happy Salah to you all. Concerning the electorate looking beyond presidency ahead of the 2023 election, let us be careful this time around. APC promised us change and they ended up deceiving us and themselves. To me, APC means all promises cancelled. Let us be very careful in 2023 and pray that God looks into the heart of a genuine person who will take us forward to the next level. Nigeria should not be deceived by the parties. Let us vote for individuals to go forward. So Sister Uti saying you are looking beautiful is an understatement. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. You know, Daniel, you're also making a big mistake, because where he said that let us pray that God brings a person that has a good heart, we are still focusing on that center.
We're taking the responsibility away from ourselves.
Yes, from ourselves, right, Dele? So can you just help us? Because, you know, whenever we're with you, we're having so much fun and the time just keeps flying, you know. Can you help us see this thing, that it is beyond us saying we want to elect a particular person, because that is not the solution to Nigeria's problem.
It's a set of people.
Do you understand? So how do we start to see?
You know, so, I am beginning to align myself with a school of thought that they propounded this theory that Africans have been deliberately trained to learn by rote instead of being trained to use their brains. It's unfortunate that we keep chasing our tails like a demented dog. We have tried personnel changes all these years, but because ignorance has been so weaponized in Nigeria that people spout nonsense full chest. Look at the man that just sent that comment. Shebi Awolowo ran under the same 1999 constitution. That's a blatant lie. And then the other one was talking about a person with vision who took people's land and built free trade zone. Free trade zone, go and look at the number of people who have been rendered homeless, not gotten any compensation paid to them. You are pointing at lies as achievement. This is because people don't bother to use their brain and look at the evidence of their own eyes so that they can then make up their mind. The fact of the matter is that systems are designed to produce results. Nigeria is designed to produce exactly what it is producing. It is not by accident that men that we thought were good men will get into these offices and they achieve exactly what the system are designed that they would achieve. Nonsense. When you build anything without purpose, without vision, what happens is that perversion sets in. Nigeria was not built with purpose. Hegemonies govern nations everywhere in the world. You bring your hegemony, then you take on the smaller ones, you assimilate them for everybody's progress. But not in Nigeria, because the hegemony governing Nigeria is not built with vision. It's built simply for the acquisition of power and money, impunity and privileges, nothing more. So when you now keep cycling people through a system that is designed to, it's like asking someone to swim through a sewer and then come out clean at the end of the process. It's not going to happen. The problem is that our system is designed to produce evil. Unless you redesign that system, it is not going to produce anything good. You would have the occasional systemic errors, some of them good and beneficial, not all are particularly good. The current president is a systemic error. He is the height of the hubris of that system. Another one might come that will be worse than that. But if you don't want bad rulers, reconstruct the system that is consistently producing them. Which one? In 23 years, you cannot actually count up to 5 persons. You would have fingers left on the hand if you were counting 5 persons that have worked for the people within this system. The system will frustrate the person if they ever had any such intentions. And if they didn't have any such intentions, it will enable them to do what the system is already designed to do. Steal, kill, destroy. End of story.
One thing is consistent. Every time we have Dele as a guest on the show, you learn a lot of things. And sometimes you feel like you come away from the conversation a little bit more despondent than when you started it, just because the
No, I don't do this to me.
No,
don't do this to me.
No, but it's because you're telling the truth about the reality of our situation. Because if I take nothing else away,
you without hope.
Yes, no, but
I
the
don't
thing
leave
is,
you without hope.
it's the change of mindset now for me that says, how do we even begin? So it's a bigger problem. If I change the people, the system still exists. So the system is designed to make evil of good men who are well-meaning. So right now, as a collective, we are all carrying our batons and our pom-poms, and we're saying, let's get the right people. But then
if we put in the right people,
that what you're doing is actually still feeding this same system that doesn't work. So in fact, it now becomes a shift in mindset to say, okay, I need to put the system before the person, but then I need the people to change the system. It's like a chicken and egg situation. So,
so give us some small hope in a minute.
Leave us with hope.
Because we're having a part 2 of this conversation very soon.
Oh, is that me?
Yes, I said you should give us some hope.
Leave us with some hope
in a minute.
Let me just say this to you. A few years ago, I traveled over to Republic of Benin. That was in 1998. And the woman selling corn by the roadside in front of the hotel I stayed in Cotonou, she had a mobile phone. And I came back to Lagos to the specter of having to be begging people to use their Not 9 Not or go to a Nitel office to make my phone call or a business center. Why am I talking about this? Today in Nigeria, the same Nigeria, we're talking 23 years later, 24 years later, I'm able to sit in my house and use a telephone device to connect to a TV station that is not NTA, simply because the Nigerian energy has been unbundled. Our problems are not intrinsic to us. We are not bad people. We are good people. Down the length and breadth of this country, we are very good people. It is the system that has hobbled us. However, if we ever get a few who stand up in the recognition of the fact that you cannot repair the disaster that is Buhari, what has happened to us cannot be repaired. If anybody is coming up to say that I can repair Nigeria or will restore, there is nothing to restore, there is nothing to repair. You have to reimagine it. If Nigeria is reimagined, the Nigerian people are more than enough to turn Nigeria around.
Absolutely.
There is something I said to you when we were off here. Okay, I didn't know where.
Yeah, we are so sorry, but we have to bring you back again. As always, we hope you honor our invitation. Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi, for a fantastic conversation. Oluwatayo Ali says, the system is so bad that it frustrates the good and destroys a lot. I went to INEC office to get my PVC that was lost. I was told nonsense and convinced that they can't confirm if I really registered or not. Well, why can't they just check the system? So this is a big issue. We're going to bring a part 2 of this conversation. As we always say, we talk about things, hoping that, yes, people would listen. Thank you so much, Uti. Thank you again, Dele Farotimi. Now, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at Ratio Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The most important office, and the one which all of us can and should feel, is that of the private citizen. We'll see you guys live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us on The Breakfast. On the show this morning, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, drags the federal government to Court of Appeal to challenge the amended 7 charges on terrorism granted by Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja.
Also on The Breakfast, President Muhammadu Buhari downplays claims he has a favored candidate for 2023 elections, saying he will hand over to whoever Nigerians elect.
And like always, we will be reviewing all the major stories making headlines across national dailies. Thanks for staying with us on The Breakfast. I am Justin Akadonye.
And I am Mercy Boko. It's good to have you join us this morning.
All right, today is still a holiday for all Nigerians, most Nigerians as it is. We trust that you're having yourself a relaxed time. How are the holidays for you? How was yesterday? I trust you're going to have a wonderful day today. It is a rested one for most people, but we're here to bring you up to speed with all the latest information and news making the rounds across Nigeria and, of course, across the world. We'll just slide over straight to top trending. We're all aware of the Butemeta incident that happened late Sunday night, and even as at yesterday, there were still ongoing efforts to rescue victims. And from what we hear, of the figures we are getting, about 24 were rescued and 10 people were suspected to have died. You know, we talked about this yesterday, Mercy. You know.
Yes, we talked about it. It's unfortunate that this, you have the reoccurrence every other time. I mean, it's been happening across the entire country. But it feels like Lagos State might just be topping the chart, you know, if you want to calculate and look at the statistics in terms of buildings that are collapsing. And then you ask yourself, have we learned anything? At the end of the day, no, it doesn't look like we've actually learned anything. As much as a lot of people say that that building has existed for a lot of time, so it's not a new building. But the point is, are we even learning? What are we doing? And the most shocking is that the president, I mean, putting out his condolence message across, you know, sympathizing with families that have lost their loved ones and feeling sorry and what have you, which I think is just part of, you know, it's just part of the game. It's usually, you know, part of the presidential, it's protocol. So the president has to put a speech, but does he really mean it? And then in the end, you also have part of that speech saying the president lamented the embarrassing frequent building collapse in the country. I mean, really, how does that even solve a problem? Yes, you would say that it is not within the purview of the president, but it just shows you the mindset of, you know, the elite, those who are ruling. I'm sure that every other person feels, oh, we are so sorry. We are so sorry every other time. It is not rocket science. We know the reason why a building collapsed at different points. There are a lot of, you know, reasons why you have building collapsing. Right? So for every building that collapses, it's just general. They are universal. They're just basic answers to why you have some of this building collapse. And so you would probably have, it could be an issue of, because at this point in time, we know investigation will go on. Of course, the Lagos State government and the relevant authorities will come out and say, oh, we're going to investigate. I'm just predicting. And these things would definitely happen. And that's what it is. So we'll find out, oh, why did it collapse? But generally, because there's a process, so you can tell if you don't follow the process, then you know where you're going to end. Faulty designs, bad workmanship, if you want to say. You also have issue of foundation failure, low quality materials. You have a lot of people do that, and corruption, where you have people trying to bypass the officials who are supposed to inspect. So if you have, and then you begin to ask yourself, what's the essence of governance? As much as we can, I mean, we can't take our government out of the equation, because government is there to ensure that things are done properly. Govern, that's the essence of governance, or government at the end of the day. So if you have approvals for building, do we do the needful? We have bodies that have been set aside. And so there's supposed to be, before a building is erected, there's supposed to be a collaboration. The state has a body that will collaborate and find out if they meet the basic, requirements. Have they met it? And then you're also going to monitor the entire process until the building becomes a full structure at the end of the day. So do we follow all of this process is a question that we ask, right? It's a question that needs to be asked. So it's saddening that, you know, the president would say that he's lamenting the frequency, the frequent building collapse in the country, as much as we're not going to target to him, but it just shows you the mindset. Nobody really cares. People are dying. People die for no reason. But we need to be responsible. It is not entirely on the government. Like we mentioned yesterday, we talked about it. Those who are contractors are also human beings. You live in the same space. So we need to be guided. We need to have a self-compass, apart from having the fact that government has to monitor you. But you also need to think for yourself.
Yes, I was going to say that because the responsibility is not just on the shoulders of government alone. Individuals, contractors, people who have plans going into real estate, erecting buildings, have so much to do. You know, a lot of times we talk about if people have done their due diligence and location, choice, soil samples, the soil test and all that has to be done. Because sometimes there are approvals given for different types of locations and different soil tests that have been carried out on specific areas. For instance, if maybe you live somewhere that's a bit waterlogged, there's some specifics that you need to do when you're laying your foundation so that the building doesn't just give way after time. So these are the things some people or most people should do when they want to erect buildings, not just to buy properties maybe off Ibejuleki, off Ajegele, off Ikorodu. They should do proper soil testing. Aside from all of that, sometimes because there's an agency in Lagos which is actually in charge of building control. It's called LASCA, so Lagos State Building Control Agency. Most times you see some buildings marked X. Over time, if you check the reasons for those marks and those X's put on those buildings, it's as a result of the fact that over time, when they've been given approval to build a particular structure on a particular location, the contractors or the owners oftentimes go back and do some other stuff on it.
And that's
they might
why
give you 3 building, maybe a 3-story building, some might go and build like 5, 6. At the end of the day, start giving
but Justin, and that's why we keep talking about governance and government. That's why government exists. And that's why you have these agencies that have been set up. You have government agencies. The essence is to monitor.
Yes.
So it's okay to say you have a policy, but you also need to, when people submit proposals or contracts, there should be monitoring to ensure that
they actually do. But some people,
no.
But the fact is that...
So that's where the corruption...
Should we even wait for... Corruption also sets in, I agree.
No.
Most people, should we even wait for government to tell us the right thing to do? Because at the end of the day, we know we've been given this approval. Why go ahead and start building much or more than that? Because at the end of the day, it will give way. And you'll die.
So it's a strata.
So
it's a strata now. So we're saying that if we fail, if let's say the contractors actually fail, the fact that you expect that your human compass should guide you, you're a human being first of all. And I always say that before, we are anything, whether you're a man or a woman, or whether you're a CEO, you're a governor, you're a human being before whatever it is that comes, right? So you also need to consider that. For some people who do not have the moral compass to say, oh, this is not right, whatever it is I'm going to do, I have to do it right and all of that, that has actually failed. So we say that's why you have a system to check the excesses. So if we have agencies of government who should ensure that when you have a building proposal, who gives approval? I'm not even sure we're ready for this conversation. Because if you move around, I see that we're just a disaster waiting to happen. Have you also looked at the fact that you have houses that are in the middle of filling stations and gas stations? You have all of that. Have you ever thought about it?
I have seen that.
We're just waiting to happen. We will blow up someday.
Sometimes,
or you ask yourself, who gives the approval?
That's the thing. Sometimes, initially, those areas might not even be marked for commercial purpose. It might just be maybe residential. At the end of the day, you now find filling stations and other commercial activities springing up in that area. And the original plan was not that. I've had to cover a protest sometime around Agboike to some 2-3 years ago. The residents were actually complaining that there was a filling station and a gas turbine just within their neighborhood.
I have seen, a popular church, right? In the middle of, so you have there's a filling station and then there's another thing. So you have the church in the middle. And I'm saying, let's not get to the point where we say witches and wizards, the demons have come again. Because we cannot continue to do the same thing over time and then expect a different result. And then there's always a human part to every miracle. That's it. So you don't want to die. Why are we doing this? Even with schools. So it just shows you that if the human compass fails, that's why you have the government, that's why you have this institution. And these agencies of government, you have salaries, their allocation to it at the state level. People are being paid, right? So what are you doing?
You do your job.
You should follow through. So if you say this is what you're going to do, approval was for a 3-story building, then there should be monitoring and ensuring that there's compliance. And in a state where there's no compliance, then you shut it down.
Enforcement
but of course, the issue of corruption will come in, and so you have people trying to bribe their way so that this, agencies or those who are working there would look away. We have a long way to go. We can't constantly behave like this. And now it's becoming a norm. So if somebody dies, it's not a problem. Oh, building has collapsed. 24 people are dead. Or we have rescued 24. And then how many persons? Do we know how many persons were there? And so those people, oh, no, it's okay. And then the government will come out and say, we lament. We're so sorry. Really? I think we need to do
better.
better.
Put out a statement afterwards. Anyway, we'll move away from that one. Nigeria, FIFA, Senegal, and some other countries are actually in the news. But let's just bring it closer home. FIFA has... why are you laughing, Mercy?
No, because...
You remember that particular story? That now we've been fined 64 million
yes,
naira
64.
for unruly conduct.
I think if you look at it, 154,000 million.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be 54,000 million.
No, we're actually supposed to pay 64 million naira.
So no, but in not in the Nigerian currency. So we're looking at $154,000.
Okay, if I have to check, let me just see if I can give a background to that particular story. FIFA has ordered...
That's Swiss francs, for Swiss francs,
yes,
I mean the currency.
Yes, so let's just go to Naira. And
64,
Kobo,
okay, so we stay with that.
Also.
I was trying to
First not going to Swiss francs and the US dollars and euros and pound sterling. But FIFA has ordered Senegal and Nigeria to play one match behind closed doors after crowd disorder during last month's 2022 World Cup playoffs. I recall that fans shone laser pointers at Egypt captain Mohamed Salah as he missed in the penalty shootout won by Senegal in the second leg in Dakar. Senegal were fined 175,000 Swiss francs over several incidents, including a pitch invasion, an offensive banner, and for failing to ensure that law and order are maintained in the stadium. But for Nigeria was hit with a one-game stadium closure and fined 150,000 Swiss francs after fans invaded pitch in Abuja following their World Cup playoff defeat against Ghana. I remember that particular incident that happened at Mercy.
No, you can actually look at it now. If you don't remember, you can look at it. I mean, look at that.
Look at the visuals
on
everywhere. Just went amok, and everything was just all right that day. Well, we couldn't
Justin, it's just...
we have been fined.
Justin, it's unfortunate that we have to pay this. 64 million we're talking about right here. It's a lot. And I'm sure that we probably would have channeled...
It's not much. People pay 100 million to get presidential tickets.
I understand, but that's a lot at a time where we're grappling with a lot of stuff.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
we are probably struggling, and I'm not sure that we're being very honest. But, the conversations that have been reacting getting different reactions in different spaces would be, we have the money, because people would have to, an individual will cough out 100 million to get a ticket to become, wanting to become the president of the country. So there's a lot of money on ground. But let's also look at it in this other fact. Misconduct, fans' misconduct, that's what the government is going to pay for. And, the responsibility of government would be protection of lives and property. True. And also you have the police ensuring that there's, maintaining peace and order in the country. So at the end of the day, it just shows you that the government is going to pay for failing to govern. Simple. At
the end of the day, and people were really, and
the government is going to pay for the misconduct of people who should be responsible. Look at that. So the government has a role to play. You're respected. It's expected. The essence that government exists is that lives and property should be protected. And so you have the police to ensure that, there's maintaining law and order. And so law and order was not respected. I would have been disappointed if FIFA didn't come up with this. So we anticipated that it should be. Some people were saying...
Play behind closed doors, so nobody would watch us.
Exactly, because we have not been able to put our acts together. Now, and it's unfortunate that we have failed as a people, and that's why the failure to ensure that there's peace and order has led us to paying 64 million. That would have been, just imagine what 64 million can do for us as a country. We will have to pay it. Otherwise, face being not part of the games entirely. Some people were saying, it's rash. FIFA should have considered just probably banning us, not being part of the game. But it is a national embarrassment, if you ask me. It is really, really embarrassing. As much as it's not the government's fault, if you look at it, these were citizens who went to watch. The outcome of the game was not really good. We also need to understand that garbage in, garbage out, whatever it is that you put, you get. So whatever it is that we gave in is what we got. So it's not like, Ghana came in and did something extra, but we're not able to contain all of that. But who do we blame for it? It wasn't the government. It wasn't even the president. It wasn't even governors or ministers that, did all of that. But the fact that we were not able to maintain law and order, it just shows failure on part of government. So government, you can't take our government out of the equation. Government will always be at the center of it. And we will pay that money. I think so.
Well, we'll play, and the fact is that Nigerians eventually would not be able to see matches live, as in going to the stadium.
We have to do better, Justin. Don't you think so?
Yeah, we should do better. The fact is that, like you have rightly said, the police should have been there to maintain law and order. So how come the whole place went totally violent? How come the police could not actually put everything in check? But then it has happened, and we just have to try and learn from our mistakes and do better in future. Let's slide away from FIFA banning Nigeria, not banning right now, fining Nigeria, 64 million, and Nigerians will not go and watch at the stadium.
I'm sure they'll put your acts together some other time.
Hopefully,
and be of good behavior. You understand that sometimes you win, other times you fail, and you need to go back to the drawing board and rejig.
Let's hope that that brings some sort of level of deterrence to Nigerians. Away from FIFA, away from football, aviation. Let's talk aviation for a bit. Dana flight catches fire and takeoff. A lot has been said concerning issues in the aviation sector and how we've had plane mishaps and plane crashes and all of that. Good thing that no life was lost there, but we should have been able to do checks, there are pre-checks that are done before a plane actually takes off to find out that the plane is actually in good shape, and engine checks and maintenance checks. I wonder what could have gone wrong with the Dana flight, which just started smoking at the point of takeoff.
Like you have mentioned, I mean, it's just basic. It's normal. It's just a best practice. It should be normal that before you take your car out. So I'll start with the car. I mean, for you, if you drive or own a car, you understand the regular thing that you need to do, check for everything and all of that. You have water, everything is okay. There's fuel, and the car is in a proper, is in a proper state to take off. I mean, to move. So you have to do all of that. It probably would just show that it might just be at the end of the negligence. And so you take the aircraft and you feel like, okay, it's okay to do all of that. So it's failure on our part. But not to say that we don't really have, you don't have all of this happening. It's a norm, it can happen. I mean, even when you actually check, it's also possible that these things can happen unforeseen. But the question would be, did they really do the due diligence? I mean, did you follow protocol before you start the aircraft or before you have passengers on board and ready to fly? I'm really thankful that this did not happen halfway, mid-air. It would have been a disaster. I have been once upon a time. I have had a horrible flight experience, and I thought I was going to die. But I never had the time, to reach out to anyone to say, I think I'm about to die. So
did you share your properties when you?
No, I couldn't even. You know how you can't even turn on your mobile device. I spent 2 hours. I spent 2 hours in nowhere.
I can imagine near death.
2 hours, 3 hours. I was just nowhere.
Shocked.
So a journey that you're supposed to. You were. Yes, you were supposed to leave for a certain time, flight delays and all of that, and then eventually you boarded. You found yourself in your destination the next day. So I spent like 3 hours on air. What are you doing there? 3 hours. I'm not leaving the country. I'm in Nigeria.
What happened? Are you even lucky that you guys didn't run out of fuel?
See, I knew I was dead, but
no, you're not dead. Thank God you're alive.
No, but I couldn't even tell anyone that I was about to die. So I'm saying that aviation is very important. The sector. I'm not like we're saying that every other sector is not important. But we need to pay attention. We need to be extra careful.
It's very basic. Unlike the land transportation where you could actually just stop and then do checks, and then if you notice some issues,
nothing is even good.
Will you now stop on
you have no idea.
You come down from the plane and check, you will be floating on air at the check.
I kept on asking myself, where am I going to? How come I haven't arrived?
No, we're laughing about it. The fact is that for aviation, it is super, super, super risky, and that's why a whole lot of caution, a lot of checks and maintenance should be done, because unlike the land transportation where you could actually just stop and do checks, that cannot happen mid-air.
So, but if you also want to investigate, if you also want to look at it, because at the end of the day, it's an issue of we can't actually say because we haven't, we're not there to really say, okay, what really happened. And even if they don't tell us, they can actually tell you what happened. But maybe you need to do an extra to find out, are you really sure that they had the entire protocol, they respected the protocol before the takeoff? Yeah. That would be the question. But some people would say maybe some people are not. Those who are responsible just feel like, maybe one or two internal issues would have actually been responsible for that. But it's not an excuse. I mean, we need to be extra cautious. Now, we're very happy that we didn't lose any life, and that's the most important thing. It's always a sad story every other time. We're not saying that these things don't happen outside of this climate, including developed climes. I mean, you find that, all of these aircraft. We're just saying that let's pay attention. The aviation sector need to understand that it's sensitive. We need to do extra. We need to be on top of our game. Let's, respect the protocols, respect the entire process. I'm sure that
we should. All right, the last topic we will be discussing today is still on terrorism, still on the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and the governor of Rivers State is in the news, and he's saying that he actually supports their agitation, but not violence.
Yeah, which is because the truth is, violence has never solved the problem. Have you ever seen where violence solve a problem? So I mean, there's that popular saying where I mean, it's been said that two wrongs can never make a right. No way. So if the people feel marginalized, because the reason why a lot of persons are asking, I mean, you have groups and different regions saying we want to become a sovereign, entity. We want sovereignty. We want to become a nation. We want just to go away. We want to break out because we don't feel part of the system. We don't feel like we're part of the system. Now, that's valid. Everyone has a right. As a matter of fact, you as an individual, you do have a right. I have a right to say, hey, I don't want to. I want to become a republic of my own. But the approach is what we're talking about. Has violence solved anything? I don't think so, because two wrongs can never make a right. So the question, if you look at experts and, all of the analysis has been put out over time, you have a lot of people saying, yeah, it's okay to ask for a referendum, it's okay to want to break out, but the approach that's been taken is not fruitful. It doesn't yield any result. And so no one who is in their right senses would support the approach of being very violent, even though some people would say, let's take, for instance, what happened in Ghana. The Rawlings case, where you had all of that massacre. And some people think that before you get the result that you want, there would be a revolution, and it has to be blood revolution. We have seen, for instance, with Ghana. But I don't think that it's always the case in every instance. And that's why I'm hoping that as a country we can come together, because it's like a family setting. If you have a child that's disgruntled and that feels not carried along, there should be a listening ear.
You bring them
Someone
to the table.
Let's sit on the table and talk about it. What exactly is the issue? And that's it. But it's quite unfortunate. We're hoping that as we continue to grow as a country, we hope to, develop. And we're hoping that we get to a point that everybody understands that conflict has never solved the problem. Not conflict, but, violence has never solved the problem.
All right, that's as much as we can take on Top Trending for this Tuesday morning. We'll return again with very interesting and topical issues to discuss tomorrow. But this time around, we'll just take a pause. When we come back, we'll be going straight to what the papers are saying on Off the Press in a moment. To join us again.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
There's a breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We're about to go through the papers this morning, looking at the front pages of the national dailies. We have Chris Kende, who joins the conversation in no time. Chris, it's good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, I'm Barika de Salah.
Good morning to you, CK.
All right, happy holiday. We take a look at the Daily Independent newspaper, and the focus would be on, the top stories or bold caption. Buhari not part of plot to draft Jonathan into presidential race. That's what the president says, quoted to say. Buhari not part of plot to draft Jonathan into presidential race. It's boldly written on the Daily Independent. Away from that, you have death toll rises to 10 in Lagos building collapse. Desist from further external borrowings. Anglican Synod advises the federal government. I mean, the fact that the church is interested is a serious issue. If zoning is buried, Nigeria is buried. Southern Middle Belt leaders tell Northern elders. Interesting caption. We must cut down on cost of governance, says Obi, Peter Obi, also a presidential aspirant for 2023. And Kaduna train attack, federal government working on safe return of abducted passengers. That's what the president himself is quoted to say. Reveals bandits are using abducted persons as shield against rescue efforts. This is a practice is very common. 3 killed as sit-at-home order holds in Anambra. These are the headlines on the Daily Independent newspaper.
All right, away from the Daily Independent, we'll move on next to the Daily Tribune. The lead story for this morning, Clark Adebanjo Obioza to NEF, that's the Northern Elders Forum. Dumping zoning will kill, bury Nigeria. Other stories making headlines. World Press Freedom Day, media freedom under attack in Nigeria, say editors, with a writer there. I want federal government to make newsprint, broadcast equipment, consumables tax-free. FIFA fines Nigeria 63.9 million naira for fans' misconduct after Ghana match. All right, God will show the way. Lawan unpurported presidential ambition. I will hand over to anyone Nigerians elect. That's the president saying, President Muhammadu Buhari. Gunmen strike again in Anambra, kill policeman, 6 others. That's the wake of the seat at home going on there in Anambra State. Buhari tweets for the first time since federal government lifted ban on Twitter. PDP heads for appeal court over a ruling on conduct of primary election. 10 killed, 23 rescued in Lagos, 3-story building collapse. Train attack, bandits using captives as human shield. That's according to President Muhammadu Buhari. Those are the stories on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune.
Away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper this morning. Terrorists use captives as human shield, says President Muhammadu Buhari. That's a bold caption. Underneath you have service chiefs should locate, eliminate criminals. IG deploys surveillance choppers. away from that bold caption in The Nation, you also have another header saying, campaign for APC PDP presidential ticket hot up. Rescheduled debts, get more loans, IMF tells Nigeria. Really? Whose interest? Do you have this conversation? I mean, really, we have to deal with IMF for a very long time until we understand that we don't need to. Lagos collapse building, 10 dead, 23 rescued. Nigeria loses 5.04 trillion naira annually to headache farmer conflicts. Disqualified PDP presidential aspirant face panel today. And I'm sure you want to find out the outcome. National Assembly workers serve strike notice over wage. At the time where we just celebrated Workers' Day. It's a lot to talk about. But these are the headlines on The Nation this morning.
Finally, we'll take a look at the Leadership newspaper. Despite PMB's marching orders to service chiefs, many Nigerians still trapped in captivity. Bandits prowl the north, with several riders there. 1,908 kidnapped, 4,233 killed between January and April this year. Gunmen behead military couple in Imo. We are working on safe return of kidnapped victims. The president is quoted in that. Be ruthless on bandits, terrorists. Army chief orders troops. More stories. World Press Freedom Day. Media freedom under attack in Nigeria. According to editors, PDP postpones NEC meeting. The first decision on zoning till May the 10th. Border reopening. Importers' agents recount losses of 2-year closure. My presidential ambition, mere speculation, says Lawan. Death toll in Lagos building collapse rises to 10. State of the nation can declare 3-day prayers, cautions politicians. And let's see, I think those are all the stories on the front page of the Leadership newspaper this morning.
Let's have Chris Kende want to join the conversation this morning. We'll start off with the Daily Independent newspaper. Now, Chris, on the Daily Independent newspaper, the presidency is responding to the allegation, if you like to say, that's been put out that the president has support. It's part of the plot to ensure that Goodluck Jonathan returns to the race. But here you have the presidency saying he has no reason. Supporters of the former president are saying that, all of this has been sorted out.
Well, it's good that the presidency is coming out with that statement because over the weeks, a lot of people believe that because of the seemingly closeness of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, to current president, and the way he has been frequenting Aso Rock, there is the subtle support for his so-called ambition to come back to office in 2023. But personally, I would just look at those things as smoke screen. I don't see Goodluck Jonathan coming back for whatever reason. I personally feel that for his own integrity, personality, and whatever he believes he has done, I think he should just stay out of this and just enjoy his retirement. Don't forget that this same government, since 2015, hit all his problem on Goodluck Jonathan till today. Anything that went wrong with this government, they will refer to Goodluck Jonathan. If there is no fuel, they refer to Jonathan. The level of insecurity is Jonathan. Economic woes is Jonathan. Lack of infrastructure is Jonathan. Division among Nigerians and ethnicity and the rest of them is Goodluck Jonathan. So practically, if you are keeping the blame of an individual like Goodluck Jonathan to be the man behind all the woes we have been seeing since 2015 to date, how come you are now also trying to cut his membership to come and fly the flag of the APC as it were? So all these things are shielded in secret, sort of. But to me, Goodluck Jonathan himself is not helping matters. Remember a few days ago when some people, so-called supporters, went to his office to protest. He was neither here nor there. He didn't say he was not contesting. All he said that he's consulting and will get back to Nigeria as due course. That to me is loaded. That have left room for speculation. But good enough that the president, government,
But let's quickly, look at this before we move away. Justin, with the other people now. Do you think that if the presidency or the president was in support of Jonathan's return, he would actually own up to it? Let's also not forget that there was a time the president talked about he can't make known, disclosing his favorite because, whoever he might be supporting might be killed. These are some of the words that the president had put out prior to this time. And we know that sometimes with the speculative, we see a lot of manifestation. So do you think that this would have been different if the president was supporting? Would he own up to it to say that, yes, he's supporting Jonathan to be back in the race?
There's no way the president will own up. Jonathan is not a member of the APC, I think, to the best of my knowledge. So in what way will he come out to say he supports a PDP member to become the presidential flag bearer of APC? That is absolutely impossible. So except we are now told that Jonathan has picked up membership of APC, but even at that, even if he decides to run, it's not going to be a one race track for him. There are so many other presidential aspirants in the APC, so he has to go out and slug it out with them for the party to pick up his presidential candidate. But for me, as I said, I believe this is just more like a diversionary, and it's mostly, I don't see good luck Jonathan coming to contest the 2023 presidential election.
All right, CK, and let's stay with the Daily Independent. There's still the talk of zoning. If zoning is buried, Nigeria is buried. Southern Middle Belt leaders tell Northern elders. There seems to be no end in sight to this issue of zoning. Do you think it will make or mar elections in 2023?
Yeah, it will go a long way. But my own personal concern is not even whether what the North is thinking. Is the attitude of the leaders of the South, the aspirants from the South. If there's no unity of purpose among the candidates from the southern part of the country, as I'm seeing it now, if the Southeast, Southwest, and South cannot come together and be able to forge a common force among themselves, then you can be rest assured that the presidency will go back to 2023. So it is only when those politicians in the South leave their greed and selfishness and see that there is the need for them to be able to forge a common force against the tsunami that is coming from the North, then you will see that they won't be able to get it in 2020. So irrespective of whatever anybody says, zone it to us, not zone it to us, a problem is going to there. A problem is being created, and you don't know where this is coming from. Some say it's from the Northeast 7. Don't forget, just 3 days ago, we heard, although it's not been substantiated, that even the Senate President, Lawan Ahmed, will be throwing his rats into the ring. In the North, you already see people like Tambuwa, you have seen Atiku Abubakar, you have seen Bala Mohammed, and Saraki, and a lot of them saying that they're going to contest in 2023. That is necessary, speaks volume. But in the South, what we have, we see all sorts of rancor. Those from the Southwest are not trusting those from the Southeast. Those from the South don't seem to be saying all sorts of things against those from the Southwest and Southwest. So that has become the game. And they are only just playing into the hands of the nation, irrespective of whatever Aneze or Pandef or whatever says. If there is no unit of purpose among the politicians from the South, then you can rest assured that the North, which is a much cohesive, very coherent group, can just decide to just go for it, and they might just take advantage of the division within the South and get it in 2023.
Let's also look at the nation. It talks about restructure or reschedule debts and get more loans. I mean, this is IMF speaking to African countries, including Nigeria. How do you react to this, juxtaposing that with the fact that if you look at our debt profile right now, we're heading towards maybe 50 trillions?
If I borrow you money, I'm going to tell you what you go take the money to now. Now, so if I borrow you money, I go put my eye for the money now. I borrow, you say you come to borrow money from me or take money from me that you want to use it buying goods in your shop. and the next thing I see you at 101 Bay wearing 500,000 less, I go ask you, say, waiting now, get my money where I'm now. So that is what is happening. He who goes a borrowing, we are sorrowing. If we continue, as far as Africa continue to go to the IMF and International Monetary Fund, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and other Western countries to borrow money, they will always determine what happens. And that is where we find ourselves. So for me, the way to this economic reliance, ability to be able to shoulder ourselves and handle our responsibilities, try as much as possible to be financially independent of most of this. But is that possible? It is not totally possible because there is no country in the world that not, even the United States borrows, but they borrow on a stand and use it for infrastructure. But what happens in Africa is that our government borrow and use it to pay salaries and also to be traveling around the globe instead of investing in key infrastructure. That is where the problem. So the IMF will always try to tell you what to do. And if you don't do that, they just off the plug and you'll be in their terrible situation. That is the situation we find ourselves in Africa and Nigeria.
All right. This one seems to be taking its impact on the nation's economy and, of course, what we should be making the herder-farmer conflict on the Nation newspaper. The Nation aptly captures it this way. Nigeria loses 5.04 trillion naira yearly to herder-farmer conflict. How does this hit you, CKN?
It's quite unfortunate. We know this. But I don't think it used to be I don't think the situation now is what it used to be some years back. You remember what used to happen in Benue, Plateau, Taraba, most of these other states. And it was a very, very terrible situation where farmers were killed in their farm, and that caused a lot of problem, and especially in the North Central. But I think that has really come down now. What we are facing now is banditry, kidnapping, and killings. And that part of those kidnapping and banditry also involve most of these people going into the farms and kidnapping farmers and asking them for ransom. That in itself has affected the prices of goods and services, especially foodstuffs. If you know what the tuber of yam costs now, a bag of rice, tomatoes, vegetable, name them, it has really affected. So for me, I think it's a wake-up call. There's nothing that people are saying that is not true. All you need to do is throw into any of the markets near you, and you see the prices of commodities have skyrocketed. And these are not, and it's funny enough, these are not things we import. We don't import most of these things. These are things that we grow here. So I think we should be able to, the first and foremost thing we need to do, be able to handle this issue of insecurity. Once we can handle this issue of insecurity, then there will be a growth in our economy, and most of these things will be able to die down. But are we doing the needful? I don't think so.
Quickly on the leadership, you also have another header that talks about border reopening as importers and agents complain about or recount their loss. I mean, for almost, how many years now? What do you make of this? First, what do you think about the fact that the border has been reopened? Others have queried what was the essence of closing the border in the first instance.
The question you ask yourself, were the borders actually closed? That's the question to ask ourselves. Were the borders actually closed? Yes, closed. Which other one? The one after Badagry closed and rest of them. But for every 2, 3, I think about, how many do you have? Less than 10 borders that are closed, or about 6 or thereabout. You have over 1,000 borders open. So even if you close the one in Seme or the one by Cotonou or whatever, the one in Kassina or wherever, there are still 1,001 other routes where people import or moving smuggle things into the country. We have one of the most porous borders in the world, and we cannot man them, and that is the truth. So whether they open it or not, rice have been smuggled. If you go to the markets all over Nigeria, you will see smuggled rice, all of them. What you see the custom doing is going and leaving their jobs that they're supposed to be and be going into people's shop and breaking that shops and trying to cut away those rice. That is not the right thing to do. what you should do be able to manage that. So I believe that we should be able to equip our custom, equip the NIS, Nigerian Immigration Service, and all relevant agencies that take care of our borders to make sure that most of these things are not just get into the country. Go to most of part of the north. Even why we have so much pressure on the prices of petrol is practically close to about 30 or 40% of the petroleum products coming to Nigeria are taken outside the country. As smoke out of the desk, taken to Niger Republic, taken to Chad Republic, Cameroon, and the rest of them through the borders, and our security agencies sees most of these things. So for me, it's neither here nor there whether we are closing or opening. If we don't do the right footing, then we'll continue to find ourselves in this.
So why then do we have these importers and agents complaining about the loss that they have experienced?
The loss they are complaining is the fact that most of these imported things is selling on their own products. If you are given a free room for such importation and things are coming in, definitely it's going to affect the prices of goods manufactured in Nigeria. So if you're bringing bags of rice that's at a very less price, most of these ships bat in Cotonou, and they use the land to move it into Nigeria because they cannot move into the port. And the rice coming from Thailand, China, or whatever, it costs about 18,000 naira. And the one that is producing at Abakaliki in Ebonyi State or KB or whatever, some of these states, and it's going for about 28,000, 27,000 naira. What one do you think Nigerians will buy? That is the situation. That's why they are complaining that these borders opening is going to affect them. But what I'm saying in essence, whether you close the border, you don't close it, people are still finding a way of bringing in most of this goods. And we should find a much better way of managing these borders so that this thing can be stopped.
All right, Chris, today is our World Press Freedom Day. Nigerian Tribune captions this way: media freedom under attack in Nigeria, say editors. Let's examine how the press or how free the press has been in Nigeria since this dispensation. How would you rate it?
I'm a journalist. If I'm to rate it, I would say we are not doing badly. Sincerely, we are not doing badly. If you look at where we are coming from 1984, the days of Decree 4, down to the military era, and from 1999 to date, I don't think we are doing badly. We can do better. My problem has always been that access to information has become a big problem for us as journalists. Don't forget that the Freedom of Information bill was passed into law. Until now, most journalists, they say it was a journalist media bill. It's not a media bill, it's a Nigerian bill. But most often than not, you say that as a journalist, if you want to use that law to be able to access information, especially within government agencies, there are so many hurdles that you have to pass that at the end of it, you'll not be able to do that. So I think so much should be done to be able to make sure that that the access to information is make easier for us to be able to work as journalists. Then secondly for me is also the problem with most of the media houses. They are grappling and they are practically choking. So many of them cannot pay salaries of their journalists or our workers or our colleagues. Some are owing as much as 10 months, 11 months, 12 months salary. Some will even go, when you try to take up work with them, they say we are giving you an ID card, which will be a meal ticket for you. That in itself has brought a lot of unethical behavior by journalists, because a hungry man is an angry man. A man that cannot pay himself, when he goes that there to be able to do his job, there is a tendency that he might be able to just drop the board. So those are the part of the problem. I'll say. And also, we are living in a country also, just like journalists are Nigerians. We are feeling the pains of the economy. We are feeling what is going on. So, but in terms of freedom, I think we've been given some free hands. There have been a situation where the government, through some agencies, want to guard the media here. And don't forget, especially with the TV station, when Bond come up with some laws and some sanctions on some the broadcast stations who may broadcast and find them certain money and rest of them. But all well and good, I think we are still much, much better than most African countries for now, presently.
Quickly on the nation, before we move away and call it a wrap on the paper review, you have Nigerian loses 5.04 trillion naira annually to farmer header conflict. Is there a possibility for us to save this money? I mean, because it looks like we're losing money every other time.
I think we have discussed this initially, the headers farmers conflict, and I've spoken about it. Before quickly going to let me talk a bit about the level of insecurity in the southeast now. Since it seems not to be abating, just a few days ago, a couple soldiers were killed and beheaded in my state of Imo. That to me is the most bastard act that can be performed by any. But that means that the humanity in us is gone. And I hope that the security agencies, especially the army, will do everything humanly possible to fish out the people behind that act, where you did not only kill the couple, both of them, that they went ahead, dismembered their body and took pictures of those things and splashed it on social media. That to me is a terrible, it's really horrible for me. And we should do everything humanly possible to make sure that those behind those acts are protected. Yesterday again, we sit at home, we saw the killing in Anambra. Despite what new governor Charles Oludo is doing to stem the issue of insecurity in Anambra State, it seems that the unknown gunmen or non-gun men are still headbent in making sure that the state remains insecure. And that brings me to the leaders and governors of the Southeast. They have to come together. Presently, I will tell you that the Southwest is the most secured region in the country, the Southwest. And the reason for this is because of Amotekun. Ebubagu was agreed and approved by the governors of the Southeast. Till now, they've not done anything about it. So when they continue to talk about insecurity, I continue to ask myself, what are they doing? Don't they see what their counterparts in the Southwest are doing and making sure that the Southwest, they can do more. And I think Charles Toludo, who is a new governor, finally around his fellow Southeastern governors and make sure that the issue of Ebubago comes to the forefront and that security agency should be put in place. But back to the issue of headers farmers, I've said what we need to say. We need to stem the issue of insecurity across so that people can be safe to go back to the farm. If they can do that, we have enough to produce, and we have enough to produce. Over-reliance or just crude oil is not doing Nigeria any good. So every alternative we can make to be able to make money, get foreign exchange will be good for Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much. Chris Kane, the Untitled Chartered mediator and conciliator, thanks for all the thought you have shared on the stories that made headlines on the front pages this morning. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me. I do have a nice day ahead.
All right, it's still the breakfast. We'll head off straight to what happened this day in history, and when we return, we'll be having our first conversation of the day. Stay with us.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Na 2,500 I dey pay.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games, Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notice.
Welcome back. It's still the Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and we are looking at the amended charges of Nnamdi Kanu as he heads to the appeal court. Let's take a bit of a background. The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has approached the Abuja division of the Court of Appeal to set aside the ruling of the Federal High Court, which retained 7 counts charges against him. Kanu was accused of various offenses in the 15 counts, including treasonable felony and terrorism offenses he allegedly committed in the course of his separatist campaigns. But the judge, Binta Nyako, struck out 8 of the charges in her ruling on Mr. Kanu's preliminary objection challenging the validity of the charges. Now, Justice Nyako ruled that counts 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 14 were incompetent for not disclosing any valid offenses against the defendant. We have a human rights lawyer joining us, Justice Ohuegbu. Many thanks for joining us on this particular discourse, Barrister Ohuegbu.
Yeah, good morning. It is my pleasure once more.
All right, let's talk about this particular development and Nnamdi Kanu headed for the appeal court. Specifically, he's asking for 7 of the remaining 7 charges to be dropped. But when I was trying to read through, what his lawyers' defense were, that's Barrister Ozekeme, he said these offences were purportedly committed outside the country, and it makes the court lacking jurisdiction. How do you reason all of that?
Yeah, you see, the issue of Nnamdi Kalu's matter has been a trending one, and one that is very, very, how do I put it, classic in a way. Let me put it that way. Because going from right from the time the purported arrest or whatever was done and all the rest, there was a lot of illegalities as far as I am concerned. But coming to this, the truth is that when a count or a charge is drawn, the charge will definitely state the offense you have committed, where you committed the offense, which is the jurisdiction of the court where you committed the offense, the time the offense was committed. These are the facts. These are the ingredients that makes up the offense that will be beared in the charge. But in this kind of situation, I think the lawyer was right by saying that nothing of such nature has happened. First of all, the purported offense was said not to have been committed in Nigeria, because the offense has never said that Nnamdi Kalu committed so offense in Lagos or in Abuja or in so time and in so time and with one fact or the other. So let's be realistic to ourselves. I think this whole game is just playing politics with it, as far as I'm concerned. Because as far as I'm concerned, once an offense is not committed within the jurisdiction of the court, that court lacks jurisdiction to entertain that matter. And that is what Ozokomo is trying to tell the court. Now, if you look at it holistically now, they brought this application and the courts expunged 8 out of the 15 count charge, leaving 7. Now, those 7 you left, would the court also assume jurisdiction, so that at the end of the day, it will not be an effort in futility, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, let's talk about what the position of the law as regards an appeal to terrorism charge or charges. In this case now with Nnamdi Kanu.
The truth is that you have right of appeal at any point in time. Once a ruling or a judgment has been made and you are dissatisfied with that ruling or judgment, you go and appeal. We have it up to the third floor, which is the Supreme Court. So whether the validity or not, the question you should be asking yourself, Nnamdi Kanu is pursuing his legal right, and he's right in going on appeal, any matter or any judgment or any ruling that you feel that the court has not dispensed justice as it should be, that there is a miscarriage of justice, you definitely go on appeal. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, let's look at this from another dimension, still talking about the issue of jurisdiction. For his defense counsel claiming that if the case were to be heard in a court in Nigeria, the court would be assuming a global, jurisdiction. So, ordinarily, what should the federal government be doing if it actually wants to pursue this case logically?
Is it only that I don't know? The federal government, like I said before, as far as I'm concerned, they're just using Nnamdi Kalu's case to play politics. For me, I don't see any charge against Nnamdi Kalu. I have said this severally in so many other media houses. I don't see any charge against them. They are only playing politics with this. But let me tell you this, you see, if actually a crime was committed, or purportedly committed, remember that even by our law, even by the Constitution, 1999 Constitution as amended, an accused person is still presumed innocent until found guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. Now, in this kind of situation, we do not say that the court is competent when the jurisdiction of the court is being challenged. Now, you see, these things are simple. If actually that the federal government felt that Nnamdi Kalu has one case or the other to answer for any reason, as at the time Nnamdi Kalu was arrested, where was he supposed to be taken to? Which passport was he holding? Was he holding the passport of Nigeria as a Nigerian citizen, or was he holding the passport as a British citizen? And if a purported crime is committed by any person, in any foreign country other than the country where he committed the offense, the best thing to do is to seek for extradition and take the person back to the country where he's coming from. And there is always this international treaty and coalition between countries. The person can be tried here if actually a crime was committed.
So the next question would be now, what would be the implication if, his appeal has not been considered? Is there a tendency that his appeal cannot be considered?
Well, I wouldn't want to preempt the appeal because, like we said, the matter is still sub judice. But the truth is this: I foresee where a situation where even if the appeal is quashed, the third floor is there. The Supreme Court there is there for them to go to the Supreme Court, which will be the final answer. And of course, if the Supreme Court feels otherwise, I know the appropriate place to go now is to appeal to God.
All right, well, let's still talk more about the implications of all of this. So far, the court has actually, squashed or quashed 8 of these charges, and there's still left of 7. What does this really tell about the carriage of justice right now? Is it that the prosecution is not actually doing due diligence before just going to court with all of these charges some people have actually described as convoluted?
Well, the truth is that is a problem we have in our judicial system in Nigeria. You see, we have always said this, that it's not a matter of prosecution or police or the anti-graft agency or whatever agency rushing to court. You must prepare yourself very, very well. One, because cases are won and cases are lost in chamber before you go to court. The court is not a Father Christmas. The court must look at the whole thing holistically with the enabling laws in order to make sure that he will determine the matter in its merit. So most times in Nigeria, I have to tell you the truth, the prosecution are not always tidy. They don't tidy their cases in the first place. Now let's see it this way. What is the essence of you rushing to court when you know that at the end of the day the court will not assume jurisdiction, or the court will lack jurisdiction to entertain such matter and all the rest? And we have even seen in the past, like EFCC and some other graft law agents, they will bring 150 count charges, 200 count charges. At the end of the day, they cannot even substantiate one. So what does it go to show? It goes to show to an extent not that having that full capacity of doing the needful, or the only problem I see here is that like I said earlier, we play politics with everything. Once the government is interested in anything, one way or the other, they will take the matter to court and begin to, the prosecution will begin to look for a way to delay matters and all the rest. For me, it's not healthy for our judicial system. And this is one of the things we have been complaining in our judicial system, because for now, I don't see the reason why somebody will be charged to court and the person is just still being in custody for 1 year, 2 years, getting to 3 years without anything being done on the matter, one thing or the other, and the matter will come to court, an adjournment will be taken for 1 month, 2 months. Well, where are we going? We were not supposed, if we were supposed to have gone past this, as far as I'm concerned. We must, at this point in time, tell ourselves the truth in this country, especially in our judiciary. The judiciary must rise up to be the last hope of the common man, which is said to be all this while. And unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, let me put it that way, I don't know where we are going, because if the judiciary, one way or the other, gets it wrong at this point in time, I am afraid our country is heading to nowhere. So what I'm trying to say is this: as a member of judiciary, as an adjudicator, as a judge or whatever, we are, or you are supposed to live above God. It does not matter whose orb is there. And that is why I keep on saying, if you remember, I keep on saying that, do we actually have independence of judiciary in Nigeria? And the answer is no. Because if the governors of various states still appoints judges of state high courts, the president appoints the federal high court judges, court of appeal, and the Supreme Court. So what do you expect? The executive will continue having influence. And at times it makes it difficult for some of these judges to dispense justice with or without favor.
But let's even come back, to the crux of this conversation. If we say that, the crime that was committed was not within the country, and as such, the court does not have the jurisdiction, why is the court going ahead? That's the number one question. And secondly, if you say that he's been, which should also have a connection, has been detained unlawfully, then why is still the court, even attending or entertaining, the case that is not within its jurisdiction?
The truth is that by our laws, once a matter is brought to court, the court must look at the matter and hear the matter on its merit. And it's at that merit that the court will now determine whether it has jurisdiction in the first place to entertain the matter or not, like this kind of matter and some other matters in court. And that is why, for example, in several matters, when a matter goes to court, what the lawyers will look at is, do this court actually have jurisdiction to entertain this matter? You will not start talking about jurisdiction before the matter comes to court. The matter must have gone to court first and pleadings exchange before you now start raising the issue of jurisdiction or whatever. So that is exactly what is playing here. But my own concern is that it's taking late. It's taking too long. If the courts should do the needful at this point in time, looking at the whole thing holistically. Let me tell you this. There's nothing wrong in the courts looking at the whole situation before it, for any matter brought before the court, to do the needful without having influence anywhere. If a matter is bad, it is incurably bad. There's nothing we can do about it. Because Lord Dennis said in the case of McFoy against USC that you cannot place something on nothing and accept it to get balance. He said it must definitely collapse.
So, but let's come back to it. When you say the law has actually stated, are you talking about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Or is this a universal law? Because, these cases would continue to happen if we don't do anything about it.
Yes, by the rules of court, and also by the Constitution. That is why the Constitution says that an accused person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So when somebody is charged to court for a purported offense, that's why we say purported. Because as at that time it has not been proved. The court will look at it, the court will hear it, and one of the things the court will look at is such application now that is being filed by Osokeme to say that the court lacks jurisdiction to entertain this matter because in the face of it, and the offense has not been properly placed before the court as at when, where, and the time. Now, if an offense is not committed within the jurisdiction of the court, can the court now assume jurisdiction over that matter? So these are legal matters, and it is left for the court to decide.
No, we totally understand. Of course, these laws are not made by spirits. The laws are made by man, and not man. The laws are made for man, and so man for the law. So it therefore means that these laws can be amended. So we don't get into all of the circle. Because at the end of the day, you will have a lot of people who would say that this is totally unfair. Like you always say, we cannot begin to predict, the outcome of what the judgment would be at the end of the day. But we're saying that at the end of the day, there's something fundamentally wrong. Like you have rightly established that it is not within the court's jurisdiction. Why can't we have the law be very explicit on this? So we don't even have to, go in this, same circle and trying to understand the legality or whether or not a court has, So why don't we have the law being very explicit?
You see, I have to tell you the truth. It's not that we don't have the law being explicit or being direct or being simple. Do you understand? But at times, these things are played like a game. And that is why I told you that most times we play unnecessary politics. We bring politics into so many things we are doing, especially when the executive has interest in one matter or the other and the other. But it's not supposed to be so. Because for all, as far as I'm concerned, many people have faulted the Constitution that it has problems. Yes, I believe and I agree that there are a lot of lacunas in the Constitution. But the truth is this: if we follow the Constitution as it is, simplicity, even 70% will not be having the problems we're having today.
All right, Barrister Ohegwu, let me try and understand that. I'm trying to get all that you have said and try to pick from what Mercy has said. I know in the United States and some other countries, A case does not just go, into hearing just like that. Before now, there are things like pre-hearing trial, to find out if a case can actually go for trial. Do we have like such situations here in Nigeria?
Yes, I think we do, especially on the civil aspect part of it, where we have what we call the pre-trial conference and all the rest. But in our criminal system, in our criminal legal system, we've not actually begin to explore that area. Just like what is happening now is what we call the preliminary stage in the court system. Filing of applications, bail applications, interlocutory applications, and all the rest. That is exactly what is happening now, because the court has not even gone to the matter as it is. And because at the stage we are now, any person charged, whether, for example, in a criminal matter, we call them charged, in civil matters, we call them suits, taken to court, the lawyers will look at it holistically, whether this place you're taking this person, do the courts actually have jurisdiction to entertain this matter or not? So you can't keep quiet. You have to do the needful, the first preliminaries, before getting to that. So the American system may be different from our own. Every country has its own legal system, different from others. But like I told you, in the civil aspect, we have such provision, the pre-trial conference and other. But in the criminal system here, we don't have simplicity such a procedure, and that is why if somebody is arrested in Nigeria for any purported crime or offense, the next thing they charge the person to court. And it is now in the court that you begin to find out or discover whether the person was properly charged, whether the charge against the person is proper or incompetent, whether the court lacks jurisdiction to even bring the matter to court, and all the rest. So, like you said, I think there should be a system where we may have a pre-trial before charging somebody to the court to first trial, so that some of these things, can be dealt with at the preliminary level before the matter comes to court, especially in order to avoid delay, unnecessary delay.
All right, just one final question for you, Barrister Huigbo, as we wrap up. As it is right now, aside from going to the appeal court to quash these remaining charges, does he also have the right, that is Nnamdi Kanu, maybe to seek some sort of justice in terms of unfair treatment?
Yes, of course. Of course. The Constitution simplicity provides that you can go to court to seek for enforcement of your fundamental human right. When your rights have been infringed, when your rights is about to be infringed, or when your right is likely to be infringed. These are three things. It's a Trinity prayer there. It's a Trinity thing. So if at the end of the day, that is why at times you see some people that are that are arrested by the police, maybe brutalized or anything, or even charged to court. They file fundamental human rights applications to say, no, I have been melted with injustice. You're not supposed to treat me this way because of so many things. There is right to dignity of life. There's right to so many things. You cannot arrest somebody and begin to brutalize that person, treat that person like a human, an animal, and all the rest. These things are in our laws, and the police and the anti-graft law agents in Nigeria, they know all this. In fact, there's even what we call judges' rule. They also know, stating the way and the modus the police should extract evidence from people. You're not supposed to beat somebody while trying to get a statement from the person or extract evidence from the person. So that is the problem we're saying. I don't know in Nigeria whether we are in the 21st century or whether we are still in the 1st century. We are not getting it right at all, like other countries. And let me tell you the truth, like Lord Dennis said also in the case of Parker versus Parker, he said, until we start doing what we have not done before, we will remain standstill while the rest of the world moves on. So we must begin to do all those things we have not done before. And what are all those things? Rights to fundamental human rights. Let's respect the fundamental human rights of people. Fundamental human right is divine. It is given by God. Everybody must enjoy it. That is just the thing. And that is why in the Western world you're making reference to, they don't play with it. It is only in Africa and especially in Nigeria, that people don't respect human rights of others.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Justice Uhegbo. We'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for all the thought you have shared concerning this latest development.
Thank you. It is my pleasure once more.
Thank you for coming.
All right, it's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Time now for us to take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll talk on more issues affecting the polity in a moment. Stay with us.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start hearing the shoot of guns.
Whatever I have done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
It's a breakfast in Plus TV Africa. We head straight to a second conversation, and we have Mohammed Mukhtar who joins the conversation.
Mohammed Abdullah.
I beg your pardon, Mohammed Abdullahi is on standby. He joins the conversation. But a little bit of background to the focus. President Muhammadu Buhari has downplayed claims that he has favored candidate for the 2023 elections, saying he will hand over to whoever Nigerians elect. Now, the president made the remark on Monday while answering questions from journalists after observing the Eid al-Fitr prayers at the Barracks Parade Ground in Abuja. According to the president, he has no special candidate to replace him in the 2023 election. He instead said the one who would succeed him is the person Nigerians elect. The Nigerian leader equally urged security agencies to redouble efforts to fight against insecurity. We have our guest joining us, Mohammed Abdullahi, a public affairs analyst. Mohammed, it's good to have you join us this morning on the show.
Good morning. It's nice to always be here. Good morning, Nigerians.
What do you think about the thoughts of the president as regards handing over to whoever wins? Does the Constitution not state that?
Yeah, it's that's a very easy one for the president to answer. Actually, I don't think anybody, even his close confidants, I don't think anybody expects the president to say to the contrary to what he mentioned on the Eid ground, in the Eid ground yesterday. Definitely, that's what the Constitution states. Anybody that fits the bill, whom Nigerians have elected, will definitely be handed over to. So I think the president is just playing to the gallery, but there are some indications from his body language and his actions that that is contrary, if I may use that word, to what he mentioned yesterday. I don't mean, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying whomever Nigerians elected will not be handed over to by the president. No, what I mean is that the president, by his actions and his inactions, seems to have, to some extent, a preferred candidate. And if you allow me, I can give you some few instances and reasons why this is so.
Please go ahead.
If you remember, during our nascent democracy days, I mean the Obasanjo and Atiku era, if you remember what played out, it was glaring that even though the then Vice President Atiku Abubakar wanted the presidency so badly, even after the first term of Obasanjo, it was glaring that Obasanjo was not in support of his ambition. They came back in 2007, the same thing. The president, as his boss, was not in support of his ambition, even though after their tenure, he contested. But in this case, you will see that even before the end of the tenure, there was rumor more than 6 months ago, even a year ago, that this vice president, the current vice president, Yemi Osinbajo, will be contesting for presidency. If he does not have the green light of his boss, I mean President Muhammadu Buhari, I think is an impossible task. The best he could have done would have been to resign. If he had the ambition, would have been to resign and then contest on a neutral ground. But for him to, be the vice president and have that green light from his boss to say, okay, I want to contest for the position of Nigeria's president. And, it went on smoothly from rumor, from the fact that it went, from rumor to say, he might not declare here and there, and he declared, and now he's in the running. So that is one. Secondly, some of the people who gave President Muhammadu Buhari the backing during his days as a contestant are seemingly backing Yemi Osinbajo as well. And that is an indication that it is in the know of the President Muhammadu Buhari. I'll give you an instance again. There's a popular musician in the north. In fact, he's called Rarara. He's from Katsina as well. He is the #1 praise singer of President Muhammadu Buhari when he was contesting for election. And he has led a delegation. They call them 1313 in northern Kannywood. He has led a delegation to visit Oyemi Osinbajo and to say they are fully backing him for the presidency. Come May 2023. So, so those for me are some of the indications, like I mentioned, if you have a supporter of President Buhari and he himself, his vice president, is currently vying for the post, I think the president, in some extent, might be favoring the current vice president for the position of the presidency next year.
All right, Mohammed, fine. I like the analysis that you have given, all the background, foreground you've given concerning the president's likely, succession or who his preferred candidate is. But let's look at it in a novel way. First of all, is it wrong for the president to have any particular person that he is supporting? Does it in any way mean that he would give the person some undue influence or something?
I won't say it is wrong legally. I don't think there's anywhere in our constitution that says it's wrong for a sitting president to have a preferred candidate. But again, morally, it might be wrong because it will seem as if there is no level playing ground for all contestants. And vis-a-vis the fact that we also understand that some of the contestants, I'm talking about the APC camp now, we also understand that some of the contestants in that camp played a pivotal role in ensuring President Buhari becomes the president of Nigeria. I want to mention a few names. We all know the role Bola Ahmed Tinubu played in his campaign and support. We all know some of the roles even Rotimi Amechi played. I mean, the current transportation minister, who has also thrown his hat into the ring to say he will be contested. So if the president is seen as favoring or preferring one candidate, it will not be fair. It will be unfair to other candidates who are also, also by the virtue of what they've contributed, I mean, in terms of bringing him to the presidency, also deserve such preferential treatment. So I think it will be best in everybody's interest that there is a level playing ground, that, everybody should go campaign and woo delegates on their own, just like every one of them have been doing. So it's legally, to the best of my understanding, I don't think there's anything wrong, even if the president comes out openly to say, okay, this is my anointed candidate, you understand? But I think morally, it is not fair to all other candidates who, if the president anoints any one of them, will not make the platform fair enough for each and every one of them to contest upon.
Could it also be the reason why you have the APC not very decisive of, the mode of picking who becomes the next president? Whether, the issue of zoning, it feels like the APC might just be silent on it. And that's like you have rightly mentioned. Maybe the president has a favored candidate.
Yes, it is still very unclear, even how the APC, as a party, would decide on who become the presidential candidate, whether it will be consensus, whether it will be indirect primaries, whether it will be direct primaries, and so on and so forth. But if we look at the antecedents, what have been playing around for the past 1 year or even less, we see that there have been so many, I don't know how to describe it now, but there have been so many, there have been so many kinds of indecisions from the party itself, from the, the days where they have the Buni-led committee to now, and you look at what held sway during the convention last month or 2 months ago, where they had most of the positions, taken upon as people were elected into positions by consensus, even the chairman, so you never can tell what will happen. And so it's becoming very, very tricky, you understand? But again, from what the feelers I've had, and what I've been reading in the media, I think the party has scheduled the end of May for some of its primaries, but there are no indications yet how these primaries will pan out. Even though we've had a whole lot of series of delegates allocated to each of the states, just like what I mentioned earlier, media reports so far. But concrete plans on how these primaries will pan out is what we still await from the ruling party.
All right, a school of thought would want to say that the president is in some sort of a dilemma over what's going on. You talked about people who were instrumental to his presidency when he was elected. Now, shouldn't it be about my desire is for this particular person to be, as opposed to this person helped me, the other person helped me? Shouldn't it be about who I feel is best to run?
Yes, but it's, you are right. I think even in my opinion, it should be who is most competent to deliver to Nigerians dividend of democracy. But we all know that in our kind of democracy, not even our kind, even all over the world as well, there are favors here and there. You know, you give and then you take. And if it's your turn to take, you also don't want to give. Yeah, I keep repeating, for somebody like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he feels, I'm sure, and that's what the camp is feeling. If you follow the media trends a lot, social media and traditional media, they feel, and I mean, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's camp feels they've done enough to support this present administration. Remember, President Buhari contested 3 times on the platform of CPC and ANPP, and he didn't win until a mega party was formed with significant contribution from Bola Ahmed Tinubu and co, and he won. So his camp is feeling it is time for a payback. Whether you think that is good enough or not, but that is what, you know, what the camp is feeling. And but in my own opinion, like you rightly mentioned, the president might be the dilemma, because we said that I think it is a normal saying in this part of the world that you know, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. You understand? You know, so he will want to look at it to say, okay, yeah, Bola Ahmed Tinubu did me a favor, whether I want to admit it or not. But again, is he best for Nigeria? Will he be acceptable by Nigerians? You know what I mean? Again, if you want to pan the lens towards the current vice president, Yemi Osinbajo, he's also very competent. He's done so many wonderful things in his legal profession, even as a commissioner in Lagos here, and even as a private lawyer, you know, in private practice. So is it Rotimi Amechi that has been speaker? In fact, you know, if it's in terms of core governance, I don't think anyone is more qualified than Rotimi Amechi, because, you know, he's been speaker for 8 years, he's been governor for 8 years, and now minister for 7 years. Concurrently, you know, this is like 23 years non-stop he's been in governance. You understand? And he's experienced the last ruling party, PDP, and he's also experiencing the current ruling party, APC. So it means he has experience for, whether you say the bad days of PDP and the now not too good days of APC. So he should have experience on how to fix the country. But again, these are some of the things that definitely might cause dilemma for the president. But for me, my opinion is that I think the most competent should get the job.
Well, I mean, it's a fantastic position that you have put out there, but the argument has always been about internal democracy at the party level, and everyone believes that if we cannot get it right at the party level, then it makes no sense, you know, externally when we come out. What's the essence of democracy? That argument has been there, where you have the politics of godfatherism and favoritism still going on in the entire system. But also mentioning, you know, the minister that you have mentioned of transportation and how qualified he is. It might also interest you to know that the minister also stated recently that he will also, you know, tilt towards supporting the favored candidate of the president for 2023 elections. And so it's just a lot of questioning to do.
Yes, but the president is telling... Yeah. Sorry?
Yes, so if the minister is saying that he would tilt to whoever the president anoints or whoever becomes a favored president, he would definitely endorse. Does his qualification and the fact that he might also be favored of the president count? Because it seemed like he probably might have some kind of doubt.
Yes, you know, it's just, it boils down to the fact that, like we've been saying, even the president might have dilemma in choosing or supporting a particular candidate 100%. Because like we mentioned earlier, if you look at whether Tinubu has done him a favor, the vice president has been very loyal to him. You understand? Rotimi Amechi has also contributed, and all others like that. So he can single-handedly pick one candidate 100%. You know, so that is a challenge on its own. So I feel like you mentioned, then these candidates should be examined. These candidates should be given a level playing ground so that the party delegate will now sit down, dissect, and then choose or elect the person or the candidate that they feel, that the delegates feel is most competent for the job. But again, don't discountenance the opposition party as well. You understand? Because some of the challenges are sometimes, even if in democracy, is not, even while we talk about competency, you understand? But again, the most important ingredient in a democracy is actually popularity and population. If you choose, for instance, if you go to the corporate world, for instance, and pick one of the GMDs of these banks, I don't want to mention names, one of the GMDs, they are popular. But do you think they can pull the political heavyweight to support them? Probably they even have the funds. But how many Nigerians know them? How many delegates know them? You understand? So sometimes also you also look at your opposition to say, who is our opposition giving the ticket? You understand? So if we have this person as our party flag bearer, can he beat the opposition? Because those are some of the permutations and considerations you also do. And for our kind of country, where a particular region, I keep reiterating this fact, a particular region has a whole lot of say in terms of our electioneering process. I mean, electioneering numbers. You don't want to go and select or pick a candidate that cannot beat your rival party's candidate. You understand? So it will be a very challenging one for both parties. And that's why most of them are not really clear-cut on when their primaries will hold. Because they are actually waiting for each other to conduct their primary first to see which of the candidates is Mr. Party A is speaking, before we say, okay, this is the person that we can give a ticket to beat him or her.
Well, I mean, you have mentioned, but I beg to differ, with the fact that would be popularity would be the important ingredient for democracy, or elements, as you want to say. Because at the end of the day, you look at a democratic system that allows for replacing government, free and fair elections. So we're talking about credible, free and fair elections at the party level, where you don't have godfathers, where you don't have strong men deciding who becomes a flag bearer of a party, where loyalty should not be the yardstick for judging. That should be, the important factor for a democratic system, where there's, citizen participation, where you have human rights being respected. I think that would be the key thing. And it feels like that's what's really lacking at the party level, if you look at it, party politics in Nigeria.
Now, all what you have mentioned is almost non-existent in Nigeria. What you have mentioned are actually the ideals.
But does not mean that is not true. That's what should be obtainable.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they are lofty ideals of democracy. Fantastic. But it's not what is obtainable in our democracy. I gave you an example. You have so many people, even Dangote himself, for instance, I tell you, Dangote is the richest man in Africa for so many years, and he's so popular, you think. But put him vis-a-vis another popular, what's it called? Put him in another party, for instance, say ADC. I don't want to say maybe PDP is a big party. Say ADC. But look at his popularity and the fact that he is so rich, and allow him to contest with an Atiku, for instance, in PDP, and you see the result.
All right,
So
Mohammed,
hello? Yeah?
As we round off now because of time, so the question right now would be, since we're talking about ideals and what should be and the right thing or the right way to go about things, When do we get to the point of our nation's, electioneering, democracy, where it will not be a case of quid pro quo or in favors and all of that, to be about who actually should be the best candidate? When can we ever get there?
We will get there, but I don't see the time anytime soon. I don't see it anytime soon. I'm sorry, because there are so many challenges. First, and the most glaring of all is the fact that our politics is money bag politics. I'm sorry to use that word.
And favors.
Yes.
Okay.
So you are looking for a huge amount to prosecute even local government election as a chairman or even as a councillor. You don't have that. You have to go and seek for favors. And you promise that, okay, if I do this, if I get here, you get a contract there, you get this there, you get that. So definitely. So when we have this kind of setting, this kind of system, credible people are not really going to come in. And the fact that the ideas of democracy that we've been discussing, that your colleague mentioned, very beautiful ones, they will be very, very scarce. So that is our challenge. We need to reduce the foray of currencies and monies into our politics.
All right, thank you, Mohammed. That's as much as we can have from you this morning on this conversation. Mohammed Abdullahi is a public affairs analyst. Thanks for your time.
We appreciate you. Well, that's the size of our conversation. We appreciate the fact that you have been part of the show 7 a.m. up until this time. We'll definitely return tomorrow. But if you missed out on any part of it, it's okay to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel with Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. Many thanks for watching. I am Messi Bobo. And I'm Justin Akadenya. Thanks for being a part of the show. And stand by for the news which comes up top of the hour.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Hello there, my name is Akim Adebayo, and here is my good old days story. Once upon a time, this barrack boy had the rare privilege of attending military schools both at the primary and secondary school levels, where paramilitary activities were combined with quality education at next to no cost. I was that young boy who grew up in a nation bound by love, peace, and serendipity, a country where all that was of paramount interest to us as kids was to walk to school, attend assembly, sing in chorus to the national anthem, and pledging to our great country Nigeria to be faithful, loyal, and honest. Growing up in the midst of people of different tribes, religion, and educational background, we had a thing in common. We were all bonded by the calmness, yet disciplined military atmosphere. Those were the days when we make promises to our parents and we strive to fulfill those promises. In my case, I routinely made a promise and vowed to come first in my class at the end of each term, a promise I could fulfill only once. But the commitment to attend that vow was always an inspiration. Mere thought of calling my name and inviting me out for presentation of gifts before my classmates during prize giving day was a continuous driving force for me to always want to be at my best. Those were the good, virtuous days when there were healthy rivalries, unjaundiced academic competition amongst students. How can I forget the numerous handwritten letters and postcards to friends and family? A visit to and fro the post office was always memorable, as you were excited with the suspense of getting a letter from the post office box and ahead of time. Hazard guesses on where, who the sender could have been. Oh, I remember with nostalgia our mail box, P.O. Box 219, Ipaja Post Office. That was the magic number. Can you recall yours? I wonder if that medium is still as potent as they were then, not with the advent of social media and smartphones. I equally recall those days when the sound of my dad's Peugeot 504 saloon car was a timely warning for comportment, a time to be well behaved and show your homeworks one after the other. It was a time to watch the famous NTA Channel 7 Tejo Show News and summarize the content of the day's newspaper to the man of the house, my father. God help you if the content of those newspapers were not fully digested and accurately summarized. Those were the days when we were taught to be abreast of events in our dear country. To what extent can we say today our children are very current on happenings in our country? I ask. I recall those days, those good days when holidays were times to bond with cousins and uncles, when it was as much fun to go to a cousin in the village and it was for another cousin to pay us a visit and spend the holiday with us in the city. Life then was modest and humble. Such moments to behold were those when my grannies would call me only by my native pet name, and this was always followed by a rendition of the family's panegyrics, known as Oriki in Yoruba. It was always an emotional trigger. The call of Ajani was all I always desired to hear, and would be eager to run errands without getting tired. What a time. How I dream in wishes that few of these moments be brought back and a slice of it granted to the current generation to taste. How can we change the narratives by working towards providing a greater future for the upcoming generation? Instead of reveling on the glorious past, we can do it. Ajani desires a brighter future laced with the solid foundation of the glorious past. Today, I equally identify with Sir Shamore Badijo in his desire to bring back all that is good about our past, with a view to redirecting our paths towards a greater future, not only for us, but the upcoming generation. I remain sincerely yours, Ajani.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Good morning, I am Justin Akadonyan here watching the news brief on Plus TV Africa. The Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Dr. Femi Oke Osoyintolu, says the warning has been given to occupants of the collapsed building in Ibutemeta to vacate the building. Osoyintolu spoke to Plus TV News at the site where efforts to rescue those trapped under the rubble were still ongoing as at the time of filing this report. Our correspondent, Paul George, reports.
It was a bittersweet Eid al-Fitr celebration as sympathizers thronged Ibadan Street to see the building that caved in at about 10 p.m. on Sunday, killing 8 persons and leaving about 23 others injured.
This is a building that clearly early warning has been given concerning the status of the building. Inasmuch that we sympathized with those that lost their beloved ones, we need to state it clearly that we will not tolerate this type of man-made disaster.
Okay, Osoyintolu warns that such warnings shouldn't have been ignored.
When we got there, as at that time, we were having close to 20 people rescued. So at the end, so far, we have 23 people rescued alive and 8 people recovered dead. Out of the 8, 3 females, 5 males.
Johnson Adejare, who claimed to be a family member to the owner of the collapsed building, and at the same time the Secretary of the House, corroborates the claims of the DG that the owner of the building had been informed about its status.
2 years ago, we called the developer that, look, this is situation at hand. The house is not good again, it's not safe again. Come and do something about it. She ought to, because the real developer of Tumba, Restructuring Nigeria Limited, died. Then the woman, the wife, took over from him. Then she kept on collecting money. Uppermost, at the top, at the last floor, the top floor, we have a room at the parlor, like 5 there. Then at the second floor, we have 4 flats. Then at the first floor, we have 4 flats too.
One of the survivors was glad he came out alive.
And what I imagined that the building is collapsing, and I was naked. So when we reach ground, I now make sure that I don't put fear in my mind that what will be. But people came to rescue me. I feel bad, most especially a boy that they call David. He always be with me, he walked with me, but may his soul rest in peace.
As the rescue operations continue, friends and families hope that those who are still trapped in the rubble are rescued alive. Paul George, Plus TV News.
Now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has shifted its National Executive Committee meeting earlier scheduled for May the 5th to Tuesday, May the 10th. The party disclosed this on Monday night in Abuja in a statement issued by its National Secretary, Senator Samuel Anyanwu. He said that the earlier date clashed with the local government delegate elections involving all party members. He added that all inconveniences were regretted. Anyanwu said the meeting was scheduled to hold at the National Secretariat in Abuja. Now, similarly, the PDP National Working Committee also rescheduled the screening appeal for all aspirant for governorship and presidential from Tuesday, May the 3rd to Wednesday, May the 4th. The adjustment in date was occasioned by the Eid al-Fitr celebration. As Muslims worldwide celebrate the end of Ramadan fast, families and fun seekers headed to various relaxation spots to spend time with loved ones. Plus, TV News was at some relaxation centers and spoke with some of the fun seekers.
It's another holiday, this time dedicated to Muslim faithfuls after the Ramadan fast. Families head to various relaxation spots to spend time with loved ones.
All right, basically I came here to have fun.
I'm just happy being at home. I'm not going to work today, just having fun. Came here for this fun, that's all.
Yeah, I got a bit of pop-up seat. So I'm enjoying the pop-up here. And I'm also not a Muslim, but it's like it signifies the end of their fasting. And I don't really know the story behind it, but so I think that's that.
Honestly, I'm not a Muslim, but I know it's like celebrating after like so many days of like fasting, and it's the way to like celebrate the success of the fast.
While some hope for a much peaceful, united and economically strong Nigeria, others say they live each day one step at a time. And this moment is to free the mind of all the tasteful issues in the country. Uyime, Plus TV News.
Now, the end of Ramadan brings so much relief and joy to Muslim faithful globally, and Nigeria is not an exception. Now, Plus TV News captured the event across states of the Federation.
The early morning prayers is a usual norm to signal the end of Ramadan. In his sermon, the chief imam of Port Harcourt Central Mosque, Imam Malik Yahaya, called on Muslim faithfuls to continue the unity, peace and love shared during the period of fast.
Brothers Islam, to greet one another with salam. Those who know and those whom you don't know, greet them with salam. Spread salam. If you spread salam, there will be love among you. When you spread salam, there will be peace among you. When you spread salam, there will be unity among you.
Vice President General of the Rivers State Council for Islamic Affairs, Nasir Hor, and other Muslim faithfuls also spoke on the significance of Ramadan and the need for the country to be in unity despite the insecurity experienced in some parts of the country.
If they live by the Quran and the Hadith, there is no reason why there should be unity in this country, because all Muslims are expected to be messengers of peace.
It's a privileged moment for everyone to see how him or her can change the backside of, his or her life, so that we can continue as a people to improve in our living.
As Muslims who has fasted these 30 days of Ramadan, it is enjoined upon us to be patient and also be thankful to our Creator.
One of the tenets of Islam is for us to ensure unity, cohesion, and peaceful coexistence. And that is what one of the lessons we have to derive from this Ramadan.
In the southwest, in Osun State, the state governor, Boyega Oyetola, harped on the need for all Muslims to imbibe the virtues of peace, which he described as one of the strongest tenets of Islam. He spoke alongside his wife.
My message to our people is to ensure we maintain peace in the state. Without peace, there can be no development. I want to enjoin them to please ensure we maintain absolute peace in the state. I want to enjoy our children to be law-abiding, to have the fear of God. I want to enjoy our parents to ensure fairness in the way they handle the affairs of their children.
I greet all the people of the state of Osun. We thank God for the completion of this year's Ramadan. I wish everybody well. I would like to advise our women to take proper care of their children. We thank God the issue of GBV is getting to an end in our state.
In the northern region and in Jos Plateau State, Muslims trooped out in their numbers to various prayer grounds to mark the end of Ramadan. At the Bochi Road prayer ground, Sheikh Yahya Jingir, in his message, admonished Nigerians to be security conscious in the face of the daunting security challenges facing the nation.
The security of the nation is the responsibility of all of us. If every person gives or her own contribution in tackling the security challenges with the fear of Allah, the society will be free from all forms of evil.
Other Muslim faithfuls who spoke to Plus TV News called on Muslims to always forgive and embrace peace.
If there is no peace within the society, there is nothing you can do at any given time. Even for you to come out and perform your prayer from your house, it cannot be done. So therefore, we are calling for all people of this country, just not Basa, that we should make sure that we embrace peace.
Kano State was not left out as faithfuls sang and danced to express their joy after completing the 30-day period of fast.
You can see we have Igbos, we have Yorubas, and we have also different tribes are coming here. So this coming together will also symbolize the identification of peace in Nigeria. So what I can say is that coming together, irrespective of our religion, irrespective of our tribes, will create harmonious relationships.
I pray to God Almighty, may God forgive us for all our sin. And make bring Nigeria together. We are all one. Forget about the religion. Forget about tribalism. Make all of us come back to God. We do mistake. We don't even pray to God. But this time around, everybody going back together. Any tribe, going back to God Almighty to leave Nigeria for us.
So when we believe that God is going to forgive us all our sin and provide for us all we needed, especially in Nigeria. Look what is happening generally. There's nothing that can solve this problem in Nigeria than prayer. So that's why this prayer is very important.
The only thing we are facing is hardship. Hardship, even though water to buy is 1 terkai 100 naira. Then talk less of the food where people will eat. The rice, even though Nigerian rice and foreign rice all cost in the market. Talk less of tomatoes and the meats.
In the Middle Belt in Makurdi, Benue State, Muslim faithfuls took to the streets of Wadata to celebrate. A Muslim faithful, Zainab Usman, stressed the need to celebrate the day with a show of love.
Alhamdulillah, I'm advising all our Muslim brothers and sisters that Eid Mubarak, we are supposed to celebrate it in peaceful and mindful way. And I'm wishing all the Muslim brothers and sisters and even our Christian brothers and sisters to be with us together and celebrate this Eid Mubarak.
In all they're asking, they want peace, love, unity, and a country devoid of insecurity.
And away from all of that, the prices of food and other commodities keep skyrocketing daily, touching on the cost of living in Nigeria. Feel the pulse the people on the street views.
You expect seriously, we can't even explain because in my place of work, the place I will normally pay 500, go and come back. That was 2014, 2015. Now I pay 1,200. Go and come back. So every day, a month, the transport is just like more than 30,000 just for transport, which I was spending like, I was always calculating 8,000 or 10,000 naira for my transport every month. But now the transport fare is moving from 10,000 to 30,000 every month for the 26 days I always work. So it affects seriously, I can't even explain. It affects badly. So some of those money, we normally use it maybe as you are coming back, you buy things for your children at home, but now in order to, we can't save. We can't save.
We just have to like keep on going with it now. We just hope it gets better. So how we are coping is work harder, and that's just what we can do.
I'm into food business, so I know it's affecting a lot, particularly trying to get customers. When you give them prices of stuff that we do, they complain that it's too expensive. But due to the constant increase in sales, in pricing, it's really affecting the business. So we hope the government will look into that. The price is way too expensive. Take for example, a bag of flour last year was going for about 10,000, but now it's going for like 22,000, 23,000, depending on where you get it.
When you look at the rate at which prices of commodities are going up, is very, very high. In fact, average Nigerians are finding it very difficult to cope. And we want government to do something as soon as possible before things get out of hand.
I think it has really affected it adversely because things are quite costly now, and the things that we used to get for a particular price has actually gone up. So we need to improvise and, like they say, cut our clothes according to our size, right? But we try, we manage. Like, okay, when I was coming now, I had a small issue with my car, and I had to get, I think the person that I wanted to help me fix it said I should get, what's it called? Jowl, ordinary jowl. Then we used to get it for like 1, 2 or thereabout. But when I bought now, it's 2.5. Now. You get, so everything, food, rent, everything.
That one is, I don't even know what to say. It's been God. You know, buy something today, by the time you get to the market, it has tripled the price. So it's being consistent with the price. It's not as if it's going down, it's going up. So there are some things you really want to eat, but you cannot afford it, so you just leave it out there and eat the basic things. So it has affected my daughter. Like, my daughter likes berries a lot. And berries that I used to buy for 1,000, now it's 3,000. I can't afford to always buy berries for her. So it's affected in every, I don't even know what to say about it. Cost of living, water now. We used to buy 600, now it's 750. Maybe by the time you go next month, it could be 800 or so. It's affected a lot of things. So you now start considering, should I not drink clean water? Should I just drink from the bowl? It has affected a lot of things. So your health now is at risk because your meals are no longer balanced diet. So you have to weigh options. What will you eat and what you will not eat? That's affected a lot of things.
And now to other parts of Africa. As Kenya's general elections are approaching, tension between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Vice President William Ruto is mounting. Now, President Kenyatta has asked his deputy to resign, claiming he did not act enough for his country. Now, following this comment, Ruto tweeted back that the last cabinet meeting had been organized 2 years ago and encouraged his leader to call him. General elections are meant to happen next August, and 47 candidates have already joined the race. Kenyatta can no longer stand for re-election after 2 terms, but William Ruto resents him for backing Raila Odinga, a former prime minister, instead of him. In northern Ethiopia, where the police used tear gas and briefly clashed with young Muslims in the capital on Monday during prayers to mark the end of Ramadan. The Ethiopian capital saw scenes of panic on Monday. A police fired tear gas at Muslim protesters on the fringes of prayers marking the end of Ramadan. The incident occurred outside the Addis Ababa International Stadium, and the Addis police called it a riot caused by a few individuals. An official said policemen unintentionally fired tear gas at the crowd when some faithful started to chant slogans and throw stones. The Addis police issued a statement saying property had been damaged before order was restored. And outside the continent, Malina is one of more than 67 million Filipinos who have registered to vote in the upcoming Philippine elections, which historically have a high turnout. Even though support for the 56-year-old incumbent vice president is high, a recent opinion poll showed Robredo faces an uphill battle in the important race. This is with her closest rival, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., maintaining a wide lead ahead. Support for Marcos, the son and namesake of the ousted dictator who ruled the Philippines for 2 decades, remained at 56%, ahead of the new week's ballot. Robredo slipped to 23% from 24% a month ago in the Polls Asia surveys released on Monday. Now, a 14-year-old boy has been killed and a 17-year-old girl wounded in a missile strike in the southern port of Odessa. A video uploaded to social media on Monday showed firefighters spraying water onto a fire in a destroyed building. The caption alongside the video read, "Rescuers eliminate the consequences of a missile strike in Odessa." Now, Zelensky said the missile hit a dormitory. How did these children and the dormitory threaten the Russian state? Zelensky said in his nightly video address. The strike also hit a church, blowing the roof off. Business news now. The Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents will be writing the National Assembly immediately after the Eid al-Fitr break. This is to express their grievance over the newly introduced 15% national automotive cancel levy by the Nigerian Customs Service on imported vehicles. The leadership of the association would engage the legislature on the insensitivity of this present administration. They vowed that the group would ensure that the Ministry of Finance was dragged before the people's representatives on this issue. Now, the NCS recently introduced a 15% NAC levy on imported used vehicles, a decision which didn't go down well with clearing agents in the country's maritime sector. The agents have argued that the NAC levy is mostly meant for new vehicles, questioning the rationale behind the introduction of the duty on used vehicles. Entertainment news now. Hillary Clinton attended the glitzy Met Gala for the first time in 20 years on Monday. Clinton said she was attending to celebrate the fashion and spirit of America. Her burgundy gown featured subtle embroidery of the names of 60 famous American women, including abolitionist Harriet Tubman and Madeleine Albright, the late Secretary of State. Known for celebrities in the over-the-top outfit, the so-called Oscars of the East Coast returned on its traditional date on the first Monday in May. That's just 8 months after the 2021's pandemic-delayed event in September. Now, the Country Music Hall of Fame has inducted Ray Charles, the judge, and 2 studio musicians who contributed to classic country songs. Charles's induction in Nashville, Tennessee, showcases genre-defined country releases which demonstrated the country's music's commercial appeal. He grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry and the 1962 released Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music, which became one of the best-selling country releases of his era. Blinded and orphaned at a young age, Charles is best known for R&B, gospel, and soul. His decision to record country music changed the way the world thought about the genre, expanding audiences in the civil rights era.
About country music. Willie Nelson said Ray's recording of I Can't Stop Loving You did more to expand country audiences than any other record had before. He recorded it for his Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music album, a landmark work that introduced innumerable pop music fans to the beauty and soul of country music. From then on, until his death in 2004, he made country music an integral part of his repertoire.
His first recording in 1959 to I'm Moving On, to informing that record company in 1961 that he would record an entire country and western album. They told him he was crazy. Mr. Charles always stood his ground for what he loved, and country was one thing that he truly.
And finally, in sports news, the Senegalese national team has been sanctioned by FIFA for the incidents that took place during the second leg of the World Cup 2022 qualifying playoff between Senegal and Egypt in Dakar on the 29th of March. FIFA fined Senegal's Soccer Federation $180,000 for fan disorder at the World Cup playoff game, including shining laser pointers at Egypt star Mohamed Salah in the penalty shootout. The Senegal went on to win the shootout in Dakar in March, with Salah's Liverpool teammate Sadio Mane scoring the decisive spot kick. And sports news wraps it for us and the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for watching, and stand by for Plus Sports.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.